All right, happy hour, round two with my friend Cali Jets. Brother, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no problem, man. How's the weather over there?
A little gloomy right now, but not bad. About 65 degrees, so can't complain too much.
Cool, cool. I've been my friends out in Arizona, they said like it's just been like 100, maybe like 97. Is that kind of same? Because you're in California, is it kind of same thing or
Yeah,
not really?
it's the difference between like that's like 5 hours away, but the difference like
Yeah,
between that desert weather and our beach weather is just totally different.
man, that's what I thought. That's what I
Yeah.
thought. So, man, um, we got Miami this week, right? We 2-2. If we win, we could be in second place. If the Bills lose, then we could be in first place. But they're facing against the Steelers, so you never know. How do you feel going into this game on Sunday?
I think it's probably the most exciting Jet game we've had in at least half a decade.
Agreed.
The closest thing to like a must-win game that you'll get for like a Week 5 matchup. Just because I mean you got Robert Sala's 0-6 divisional record, back-to-back wins. We have a chance to kind of gain like the league's on notice right now. Like they know we're not, the dumpster fire of the league anymore. It seems. So
Right.
going
Right.
back to games, you beat Miami, who's you know put in the top 10 of every power ranking. So I think it's a big game for us to cement ourselves within like the pack of the AFC that can compete for playoffs.
I couldn't agree more. I Were you shocked we won last week, or were you like, oh, we're like, no, we're gonna come back.
I was shocked just because of the coaching difference. I got Mike Tomlin, who I think is a top 5 head coach, and just playing in Pittsburgh, it just seemed weird. Like in my head, I'm like, are we really gonna start? I mean, this doesn't pertain to the matchup specifically, but we're gonna start 0-2 at home and 2-0 on the road. That just doesn't seem right. But I mean, they were some road warriors this year, so they pulled it off. So I'm excited about that.
Dude, I couldn't agree more. It's good. It's just so much fun lately. We're 2-2. We haven't been 2-2 in like 2015, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's so much fun. Callie, let's get to a little bit personal when it comes to your social media. You blew up a little bit. Like I consider you one of the well-known Jets community guys. Like what started with the Jets community stuff?
Honestly, it it started from me being on my personal account and
There
tweeting
you
about
go.
the Jets. Uh,
Hey.
and you got all these people out here like, why are you tweeting about the Jets? They suck. So it's just me basically talking to a wall. So
Yeah.
once I think like so 2019, like when Adam Gates got hired, like it was just me complaining to my followers. Which the Jets are like in California, like the Jets aren't a thing. Like I've met one Jet fan in 20 years out here. So like it's just there's nobody out here to talk to football wise. So once it just kind of it's just me talking to a wall. I was like, all right, I'll just create a. I didn't know what Jets Twitter was. I didn't know
Yeah.
how crazy it is because it is its own beast itself. So I created the account and then I just kind of rode with it with my positive takes, my negative takes, which is probably what I'm more well known for. So yeah, I just kind of rode with it, and here we are.
That's awesome, man. You always have the classic tweets, I say in the group. You definitely know what you're talking about and you're funny. And also, I mean, let's be honest, I think we're all a little jealous that you live in California with the nice weather. Let's be honest. Look, let's be honest, right? I'm in the Midwest. I'm in St. Louis. We get every single, it seems like everything. We get fall, winter, spring. We every single season. Sometimes it's in 1 week. You just never know. So it's just always been like that. Are you from California?
I was actually born in New Jersey, so I moved
Oh,
out
okay.
here. I was young, so that's a whole different story about how I became a Jets fan. I kind of just chose two teams from California, two teams from New York, New Jersey to kind of like, blend my identity. Half of my life's here, half of my life's there. So, yeah.
Man, good stuff. So, what's your favorite Jets memory? It could be, training camp, it could be an away or a home game, or it could just be watching TV at your house with your family and friends. What's your favorite memory?
I mean, the most significant memory was probably not being a fan and just seeing those AFC Championship teams. Just watching as a casual. Like in high school, I didn't have a team for the first 2-3 years, so just seeing those Jets Colts games, the Jets Steelers games, that was probably the most significant. But as a fan, there really hasn't been much because I became a fan in 2012, so it's like right around the butt fumble. That was kind of my like intro, like welcome to the fan base, and I'm like, oh shit, here we go.
True that, man. I mean,
like, oh, this is rock. This is rock bottom. 20. Like I thought from then on, it's just gonna be up, but the next, the last 10 years haven't been great either. So yeah, I mean, there hasn't been much. That 2015 year was fun. I mean,
for sure.
They just caught fire, and Brandon Marshall and Eric Decker, Ryan Fitzpatrick. So there were good memories there. Ended poorly, but other than that, there hasn't been much too much positive.
Do you now? I think So do you go to many games? Do you travel to MetLife? Do you go to away games at all? How many do you go like a year?
I've been to 2 Jets preseason games, which obviously don't count. Regular season wise, my first Jet game was 2014, I believe it was, against the Chargers on the road. So I drove to San Diego, which is about an hour and a half from where I am, and that was Mike Vick era. We lost 31-0. That was my first Jet game, and then I didn't get to go to any other games. I was planning on going to Jets Rams, which we actually won that game, but that was during COVID, so there was no fans. So I didn't get a chance to go to that game, obviously. And then the second game was the home opener last year. Zach Wilson's, debut with his 4 interceptions. That wasn't ideal either. That was 25-6, I believe. So 2 games, 0 touchdowns witnessed. Hasn't been great.
But I mean, at least you get to go to road games, right? Sometimes you get to go to home games. See, my first game was strictly I worked for the Rams, and then it was like kind of when Tebow was transferring over here, and I was working, and I was cheering for the Jets, but I almost got fired. So we're good. It ended up being okay, but man, that was when we were just rocking. We killed the Rams that year in St. Louis, and then I went to the home opener this year. So I was like, okay, everything is as predicted. Like the tailgating, it does look like a furnace, the stadium. So it's just it was really funny. It was good that we lost, but it was
yeah.
What'd you say?
I was gonna say, once you get to go to because I've been to Rams and Chargers games this last year, and MetLife I went back-to-back weeks. I went to the home opener, and then I think the next week I went to either the Charger game or a Rams game, and the stadiums are just on different planets. It's just SoFi is just it's out of this world compared to MetLife, which is kind of like a, as you described, like a furnace, and
yeah, exactly.
Not ideal for a New York team, but hopefully we move.
I agree. Joe, good evening. Good evening, Joe. Thank you for listening. So let's talk about moving into the Miami game. We got. I mean, here let's just look. There's a lot going on for both teams, but mostly, I would say Miami. I mean, look at all that. The Dolphins. I mean, it kind of looks like what the Jets went through last year. And I'm Zach, he practiced full today. He's full participant. Marcel Harris as well. But everyone needs to keep an eye on Hill and Howard. Their game time decisions along with Armstead. It's one of those things where that's really big, important pieces for them. What do you if they are out for the Dolphins, do you think we have a better chance, especially against Teddy Bridgewater? What do you think?
Yeah, no, totally. If they don't have Hill, that's already I'm predicting a win for sure. Just that whole speed element of him. Armstead sounds like he's gonna play. Just reading, I kind of went through the Dolphins beat reporters' tweets, and sounds like Armstead's good. He's just always injured, so they.
Oh, yeah, true. That's right.
That's a precautionary thing, I think. Yeah, but that report is pretty hefty. So at least if we get a few of those guys out, we'll take what we can get. So um, hopefully a couple of them take a seat on Sunday.
I think what's interesting is I think we can both agree that Teddy Bridgewater is an underrated top 5 backup in the NFL. He could be starting somewhere. Last time he played against the Jets, he was with the Broncos and he beat us 26-0. So he can sling the ball and he can play in under any system. I think if it was between Tua and Teddy, I think people are leaning towards I'd rather face against Tua. Some people are like I'd rather face against Teddy. For me, I don't care. I don't care who's at quarterback. I just want to go out there and just kick the Dolphins' ass. We don't like the Dolphins. I think a lot of people hate the Dolphins. What do you think? They're in the AFC East. Do you hate them as much as you hate the Patriots?
Oh yeah, I tweeted before the season if I had to pick one team in the division to sweep, I would choose Dolphins over Patriots over Bills. If I had to pick one game to win for the rest of the season, it'd be this game. Honestly, like this game or the game in Miami. So yeah, I mean they're definitely I think my most hated team as well. I agree with that.
I think breaking down the AFC East, I feel like it's anyone's ball game right now because the Bills have been dealing with some injuries on defense, and then they even brought in a guy, and now he's injured. I still think the Bills are going to win eventually when they get everybody back, but right now it's limbo. When's the last time we can talk about this? It's a great feeling. The Patriots are the bottom. I freaking love that. Like how big for you as a fan? How big is that?
Oh, that's huge. At least to be in the hunt. I mean, for the division in October, and especially if we get this win. If we're 3-2 and we're second in the division, one game behind the Bills, tied with the Dolphins, 2 games ahead of the Patriots, like can't really ask for much more from what we expected with this team. I feel like everyone kind of expected 6 to 8 wins with this team. I feel like. I mean, there's some with 10, 11 win predictions, but I think that's a little bit of the green goggles stuff going on there. So I would say, I mean, if we can be over 500, mid-October, can't ask for much more.
I couldn't agree more. Let's break this down. So the O-line, linebackers, the front 4 on defense, and safeties. What is your main concern going into this game out of those 4 positions for the New York Jets?
I would still say it's O-line right now.
Okay.
Especially with Dwayne Brown uncertainty. I know he's kind of like game time decision, but
right.
AVT doesn't know what position he's playing right now. And we don't have the other tackle. We have guys on practice squad like Cedric and Mike Remmers, kind of sitting there on practice squad. But the way Miami runs their defense, a lot of cover 0, cover 1, it's like you need protection to be able to pick up those blitzes. So communication on the line is going to be key, which obviously it's not going to be on point with guys that haven't played together. So that would be my concern because my biggest concern, everyone's biggest concern, is Zach Wilson's development. So I would say O-line for sure, but the other groups you mentioned as well are concerned as well.
I think overall when it comes to the O-line, for some reason I'm not worried, but like having Max Mitchell and Dwayne Brown out, if they're not there, well, I mean we all know Max is not going to be there. If Dwayne Brown's not there, who do you put? Do you put McDermott in? Do you put Kermans in? Do you activate Remmers and Cedric? It's a toss-up, but for some reason, that's not the main one I'm worried about. I think the safeties prove that they can play. I hope that keeps going. I hope the linebackers keep going with Harris. Garris looks like he's a full go. He's that game-time decision as well. But the front 4 with Olbrook, I think, did pretty good last week. But that front 4, let Quinnen go. Put JFM back in the middle. Have JJ and Clemens just ball out.
Yeah.
And even Jacob Martin. And Lawson doesn't even look like he's there right now. If we can get that going, their O-line is not that great. We could definitely get after them. What do you think?
No, I agree. And I think that's like the biggest key of the game, just because you give Teddy time back there. I mean, run any coverage you want. You want Sauce and Reed to be man to man. It doesn't matter. If Hill and Waddle have time, like in their routes, they're going to get open. They're going to find space. So we need those front four guys to get home. Ulbricht's kind of shown not to, send exotic blitzes. So we need those front four guys. Hopefully, like as you mentioned, JFM goes back inside for at least pass rush reps, and we get home. But yeah, we'll see.
Definitely. Now, let's have a little fun. Sauce Gardner has been tearing it up so far. Is this the week? Is this finally the week it gets an interception?
It is, yeah. I was actually going to predict that today. I was going to wait an extra day.
Do it.
I think, I think he gets his interception this week. He's overdue for sure with the other secondary guys like Joyner getting picks, Michael Carter getting picks, DJ Reed getting picks. Like he's next, and I think he'll get with those man coverage reps he's gonna be forced to deal with. I think he's gonna grab one.
That stadium would go crazy, like it, especially with the rookies. In my opinion, I think you would agree that the rookies are playing much better than what we have. I feel like the rookies have been as promised. Like they are living up to the hype, especially Max Mitchell before he got injured. It was unaccepted. Not unaccepted. It was a shocker. But then again, Mangold predicted it. I don't know if you know. Mangold wanted the Jets to draft Max Mitchell, and he's been proven that. He even announced him in UK in the draft, which is dope. Okay, so let's go back to the offense. We'll keep going back and forth with the defense and offense. With the tight ends that we have, right? We got Conklin, Rucker, Cager, and CJ Uzama. Do we even need them at this point? They're not really playing. They're not really doing anything with them. Conklin a little bit. Rucker hasn't played since that, week one with the, he only caught one, but he dropped it. It's like, what are they even there for? And we paid them all this money. Do you think that changes this week? What do you think?
It's interesting because I know Conklin's on pace for I think like 800 yards or something around there. Which doesn't seem like it because a lot of those came in garbage time situations. He's had those fumbles, so they definitely haven't lived up to the hype as you mentioned. I think we're going to need him this week, especially to chip block and let the routes develop for the receivers. The cover one stuff going on defense for Miami. But hopefully, CJ's only getting like 20% of reps. So hopefully, I want to see him more involved for sure. Rucker, maybe they kind of introduce him as the fullback role, like let him block. That's what he does well. That's what he got drafted to do, like to receive as well. But his strong suit was blocking at Ohio State, while the other guys like Olave and Wilson were going off. So I want to see him more involved. Cager, I'm not really interested in getting him involved. He's kind of like, he's not the greatest blocker. He didn't do that well in the first game as a receiver. So I would say hopefully Uzama gets more involved. Rucker is a blocker for sure. And then hopefully Conklin, stops with the fumbles. And I feel like every time he catches the ball now, I'm just like, please don't fumble. Like, it's just, yeah.
I know, right? Oh, with these drop balls, it kills us. And then finally, Corey Davis had a great game last week. And then the tight ends is still an issue. So hopefully, that, knock on wood, somewhere. I hope it gets better. Now, let's go to Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson, in my opinion, I think he did better in the third and fourth quarter. I thought he was not that great in the first and second quarter. Overall, coming back from injury, what do you think of his performance?
I think it's what I expected, maybe a little more just because of that fourth quarter. You couldn't really expect him to come out and just go firing away after not playing for over a month. So that fourth quarter, that's like that's encouraging for sure. The beginning stuff, with the O-line, I don't want to give him too many excuses because
I get that.
These last 12 games, he kind of has to start putting it together and look like a franchise QB. But this first game, I kind of wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt without his perfect O-line. And he kind of fixed the mistakes. He looked a little more decisive than his rookie year, I thought. So some of this stuff, and he's not used to having Garrett Wilson, which I thought Garrett's stats being deflated last game were just a product of them not being too familiar with each other. because when you go over the tape, and I'm not a tape guy, but just you can watch the plays. Garrett's open 90% of the time on every he's always open. So I think Zach's going to look at that. You're going to start seeing him get more involved, and it should go just trending up. I think for sure.
Do you think overall Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore, do you think he's getting more open than quarterbacks seem to see with Flacco and Wilson? Do you think this is the game that he just unleashes?
I think it will happen. This is a tough game to gauge that, though. I mean,
agreed.
With the exotic looks that Miami gives you, I mean,
right.
It's going to be tough. So I would say maybe, sometime in the next few games, but it'd be hard to pinpoint this game as the game where you see that. But I expect Garrett and Elijah, this is the game they should be, totally involved and they're gonna be open, with all these cover 1, cover 0 looks. Just a matter if Zach can hit them, in stride. And communication has to be on point there.
Agreed. The coaching staff. Do you like where it's going? Do you think the players do want to play for Saleh now? Do you think they're buying in on what he's doing? Or do you think we still need to fix the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator and special teams coordinating positions?
I'm honestly fine with it. I think they definitely do want to play for Saleh. He's your typical player's coach. But it just comes down to wins and losses. Doesn't matter how great of a guy you are. But this goes for Saleh, LaFleur, Ulbrich. If their specific roles, if they're not producing, losses are gonna trigger the locker room and things go downhill from there. Like even after the Bengals game, people are starting to question Saleh, all on the New York channels and stuff. So I think with wins, I think people start buying in. Ulbricht's scheme stuff, that's a little interesting. If that keeps up, obviously he could be the scapegoat, them letting him go. But, I mean, it looked better last game, so let's just hope he builds up of that.
I agree with you. 100%. Now, since this is happy hour with Italy Jet, I am drinking water, but usually I would be drinking back in the day. I would, even though I'm 30, why am I saying that, right? But I would be drinking a Jack and Coke. What is your favorite drink on a regular?
I'm a tequila guy. That's usually it's a tequila or any type of seltzer to watch my figure. So I would say usually if it's like a wedding or something, I'll start the night kind of mixing those two. So start out strong and then kind of coast from there. I'm not an alcoholic or anything. It's just kind of like how I go about the long nights. But yeah, I'd say Casamigos, either on the rocks or mixed with like Diet Coke or something, is my kind of go-to.
I love that. And I think overall, if got to get started something easy and then you work up, and as long as you have that buzz and have a good time, that's all that matters. Especially when the Jets are playing sometimes, right?
Yep.
So let's go to other teams. So how do you think the Bills are doing this year so far? How do you think the Dolphins are doing this year so far? And how do you think the Patriots are doing so far in our AFC East division?
I honestly don't think any team looks bad. So that's what sucks. I mean, I'll answer your question about the AFC East, but like no team in the league, like this is like the 1 year like that we're 2-2. Like I want to laugh at someone that's 0-4, and we can't do that because nobody's 0-4 now. So that's something that slightly triggers me. But AFC wise, I would say Patriots had Bailey Zapp and they went to overtime against Green Bay. So I mean, you can say they're bad, but that's pretty impressive in my book. Miami, they look good. I mean, having that comeback against Baltimore, that's huge. They obviously have one loss, so hopefully we get that win and tie them. And then Buffalo, they came back against Baltimore, 17-point deficit and won that game, and they have one loss as well. So, I mean, I was hoping Baltimore could hold on against one of them, but thanks for nothing, Baltimore, because they blew big leads, both of our division rivals. So, yeah, at least Miami and Buffalo look good. Yeah.
Good stuff. you know, overall the league, right? There's not really a team that actually stands out to me. I feel like they're all pretty even right now because of injuries and it depends on the suspensions and even they're going to London, and they're still due to go elsewhere. It's been very tight so far. I feel like in the last 3 years, 3 to 5 years, it keeps getting better with the talent with the NFL. It just keeps getting bigger and better. I can't remember back when I was a kid and even in high school where it wasn't there was always like one or two, maybe 10 guys that were like really good. And then now it's like, man, it's anyone's game. They can't even be in the seventh round. What do you think?
No, I agree. I mean, the college game's getting more advanced. I mean, they're getting more athletic. They're getting better coaching, it seems like. So I would agree with you as well. There's definitely like a larger pool of talent overall. So I agree with that.
Definitely, my man. So I like to do a segment on my Italy Judge show on the guest can ask me some questions. A lot of people love to get to know me and love to hear my story or anything. I'm an open book. So, Cali, fire away if you have a question for me or something you just want to know.
Yeah, I want to know how you became a Jets fan because you're right by St. Louis, so there's not like specific ties to the Jets there. So curious.
So, I used to work for the St. Louis Rams, and I worked there for about 10 years. Two of them were volunteering. So 8 seasons, 2 years of volunteering. I worked in the marketing street team department. And then I was a flag guy. You know those flag guys that come out of the tunnel?
Yeah.
I was one of those guys too. And it was really cool. My dad worked for the Rams. He was a video guy for the Rams. He even went to London. He went to every single stadium except the new ones, like the new ones that have come out recently. But he went to every single stadium, and he said his favorite was the Buccaneers. The one thing that was my favorite was actually the Bengals. I really enjoyed the Bengals. Bengals was cool atmosphere for me. But then I worked for the Blues, did that for a year and a half, and then I worked for the Buffalo Bills 2 games. So once a year for 2 years, we went to an away game with the Bengals, went to an away game for the Chiefs too. But it was fun. It was really fun. It was stressful. But it was fun. But the Jets, I always played them on PlayStation or Xbox or whatever you want, right? And all my favorite players were on there. And also, have you ever seen these before? McFarlane figures?
Mhm.
So they're little statues and they're McFarlane figures, and my dad gave me a crap ton of them, and it was really cool. So here's Joe Namath, so that's pretty cool, and he gave me a lot of them, and I blame my dad for my Jets addiction, and he's not even a Jets fan. I'm not even from New York, so that's how I became a Jets fan at 9 years old. They kept giving me tape. They kept doing the social media. It was a really fun time. It was a really fun time. And now, when I was a kid, we were good. And in the last 11 years, it's like, oh, no, I just keep getting it. But even back then, we were disrespected. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's how I became a fan. You got anything else for me, Callie? Got any other questions for me?
Let's see. So you've never lived in New York or any other ties to the state or New Jersey? Nothing. It's just you've been in
Nothing.
St. Louis the whole time.
St. Louis, born and raised. St.
Wow.
Louis, born and raised.
Let's hear
It's
your Jets predictions for this year, record wise.
I did say 9-8, and then I was 8-9. Now I'm like 7-10. It changes all the time, right? It changes completely all the time. So I think for me, I'm still gonna stick with 7-10. But the way we keep going, it could bump up to back to 8-9. But it's just so I just like where we're going. There's always things that we as a fan base love to correct and love to see happen, and it doesn't happen. But I think it's good. What do you think? What do you think?
Yeah, I've thought 7-10 all along. and which isn't like it sounds bad, but I mean, if you have Zach Wilson, growing a little bit from last year, and the guys having a couple big wins like last week, 7-10 isn't the worst thing. I mean, we'll probably be picking top 10 in the draft again, around there. I think 7 and 10 teams pick like 10th, but I mean, 2023 is kind of like what we're looking at for playoff wise. But then again, like you said, it changes week to week. Like if we win this week, there's a slight, wild card expectation, right? You're 3-2, you're kind of looking at that like wild card picture now. If you're 2-3, you're kind of like, oh man, like hopefully we can find our way to 500. But yeah, it changes week by week.
I couldn't agree more. With the free agents that we got and the draft picks that we got, do you see us balling out next season? I know it's hard, we're talking about next season, but man, it just feels like that. You know what I mean? What do you think?
You're saying like with the guys like
that we have? Yes.
I mean, this offseason was totally different than Joe Douglas's previous two. Like he actually got guys that are going to be here. Like you could tell his first free agency when he got like guys like his biggest signing was like George Fant. It's like a good player, but like you kind of knew he was just tearing it down. But now signing guys like DJ Reed, Jordan Whitehead, like those guys are going to be here next year. They're younger guys. They can help us, grow. So we're young. Our rookies right now are like at least Sauce and Garrett have all pro potential. So hopefully we have some money to spend. I know Joe pushed back those cap hits, so I don't know how much that's going to affect us next year. But hopefully, like my hope this offseason, obviously prioritizing positions like getting a linebacker, safety, but specifically kind of making a trade like the Chargers did for Khalil Mack. Like I hope we get another edge rusher that's just puts us over the top, like the Nick Bosa type, not specifically him, but a guy that's going to come in and get 12 to 15 sacks. Especially like I think that's the one thing for Saleh, like he's relying because at the end of the day it's his defense. So I think he doesn't have the Nick Bosa to bail him out on some of those plays. And if we have that defense is going to look totally different.
I couldn't agree more. So I got a question for you on the defense and offense.
Sure.
Who are the three standouts on defense so far, and who are the three standouts on offense so far this year?
Defense, for both our corners for sure. DJ Reed, Sauce Gardner, looking like probably the best duo in the NFL. And then I got to give credit to Quinnen Williams, especially for the snap counts he's getting. He looks like top 5 D tackle, which I've been critical of him in the past, kind of saying we should entertain, not like actively try to trade him, but if a team came and offered like a first, maybe entertain that. But the way he's playing, he's kind of like he knows he wants to get paid. So I would say Quinnen right there in the middle, and then both our corner guys on the outside. The honorable mention to Quan for showing up last month and getting $1 million contract and playing like a above average linebacker. Offensive wise, I would say Elijah Vera Tucker, probably the team MVP right now. Rankins is a good one too. Elijah Vera Tucker, Garrett Wilson. I'll say Max Mitchell just for stepping in, and there's no way he thought he was getting playing time this year, being the 4th tackle and just stepping in. I know he's injured now, but stepped up for sure. AVT, absolute animal, moving all over. He could play center for us if he wanted. He could play right tackle. This Sunday, like if he plays right tackle, which he's never played in his life, like I watched him get thrown all over the place at USC. I'm a USC fan as well, and like
very good.
Yeah, so he gets thrown all over the place, doesn't complain, just does his job. So yeah, those guys on the offensive line, along with Garrett Wilson. So.
I would say for me, Gardner, JJ2, and Quinnen Williams, and then on offense, ABT, Garrett Wilson, and Breece Hall. I think those are my guys. I think the rookies have stepped up big time, and we definitely needed it. Now, let's go to your favorite player of all time. Who is your favorite player of all time on the New York Jets, offense and defense? You have to pick one.
Ooh, okay.
It's hard, ain't it? It's hard.
It's hard, honestly, being kind of a newbie fan, like
Okay.
since 2012. I can kind of. It's hard because my favorite player that's been a Jet is Brandon Marshall, in my opinion.
Very
Just
good.
'cause that's like I'm big. Like when you're growing up, you like seeing skill position guys ball out, and we never really had any the last 10 years. So um, I would say Curtis Martin on offense, uh, Darrell Revis on defense, which is the only jersey I'll actively rock in public because every other jersey I have is just thrown away. Sam Darnold jersey is gone. It's like all the jersey, the jersey collection kind of gets wasted.
Yeah, you know what? So you're a USC fan. You've
Yeah.
seen Mark Sanchez. You've seen Sam Darnold. Walk me through that.
It's interesting. I kind of became fans of both teams at the same time, and then they have this weird relationship with each other. It's like kind of weird.
Right.
We had Mark Sanchez, back then, Keyshawn Johnson, uh, Chuma Adoka,
That's right.
Williams, Sam Darnold, Elijah Vera Tucker. So there's a weird relationship between USC and the Jets. So I was excited about Sam, but he just kind of caught a bad coaching staffs at both levels, along with not being able to fix his mistakes on offense. So that was a tough one. But yeah, I mean, now we got AVT, which is probably my favorite Trojan since I've been a fan. So I'm excited about that one.
Man, that's awesome. So going back to favorite players, I think for me, what started out was Wayne Chrebet. I think and now it's just been Joe Namath. Joe Namath, I'm a Roll Tide guy. I'm an Illinois guy. So when we got Tony Adams, I was very excited. But
Oh.
I love Namath. And then on defense, it always switches. I keep going to Revis, Marty. It's hard. It's hard for me. So I think I'm just going to go Revis because it really hurt me when he won a Super Bowl with the Patriots. Like that killed me for a little bit. I think it still hurts. But then he came back, and I was like, okay, you kind of, money talked for you to come back, but I still love Revis so much, and I think, and also the sack exchange. I think if it wasn't Revis, I would say the sack exchange, Gastineau, because I'm Italian, so I like that.
Yeah,
So I think that overall too. But Cali, my man, I appreciate you being on the show. We've been friends for a while. We always keep in contact. You're so great on social media. You always got a friend in me, buddy. Where can they find you on social media?
Cali Jets. So Cali Jets, CALIJETS on Twitter. I think it's the same on Instagram, but with an extra S at the end. So yeah, just Instagram and Twitter. Follow me. I'll follow you back. Follow whoever back. So I appreciate you having me on, man.
Always, always. Last thing. Who's going to win this weekend? What's the score?
Oh, man. I'm going to say.
It's okay. Be honest. Be honest.
I know. It would help to have the injury report. It would. Just to see if Tyreek, all those guys are playing.
Here, I got you. For now.
Yeah.
For now, when you're looking at this.
Okay. I'm going to say Dolphins win 24-17. But this is going to be, this guy's saying Jets 24-17. See, I think one touchdown either way. I just hope our coaching staff shows up because these guys are familiar with each other. Saleh, McDaniel, LaFleur.
Right.
So I think whichever coaching staff shows up, that team's going to win. The teams are pretty evenly matched. So we'll see. Hopefully it's our guys that show up and we get that win and looking at 3-2.
I agree. Cali, thank you so much, brother. Guys, this has been another episode of Happy Hour with Italy Jet. We'll be back next week. Follow Everything NYJ on these social media platforms. Also, you can even follow me on all these social media platforms as well. And tune in later tonight. Take Flight Squad makes its debut. Situation Report, DKBX Banks, and me. Can't wait. It's going to be dope. Everyone in the comments, thank you very much. We appreciate you. Keep commenting, keep subscribing, share, like. Follow Cali Jets, buddy. He's a great guy. Great stuff on social media. Cali? You have a good one, buddy.
Thank you, brother. You as well.